We hear a lot about psychedelic-assisted therapy, but 3 out of 4 people who choose to consume psychedelics do so at home or in nature with friends or loved ones. I'm April, founder of Set, an integration platform to help you get the most out of your psychedelic experiences. The podcast episode you're about to listen to may reference one of my previous shows, The High Guide or How to Do the Pot, because I've been a trusted source in cannabis and psychedelics since 2015. I invite you to visit getsetset.com and sign up for our newsletter to receive your free guide on set and setting to make the most of your next psychedelic journey. This podcast discusses cannabis and is intended for audiences 21 and over.
Whether it's a friends with benefits or someone you've been married to for 20 years, the sex is going to be better if you're feeling close with that other person. So I do think that the emotional and the mental effects of cannabis are very important to talk about when we talk about its role in sex. It's not just the physical act of sex. It basically helps us think more positively and really can really enhance emotional connection with our partner. It's a really delightful whole package.
Welcome back. I'm April Pride, and I do the pot. This is the audio newsletter from The High Guide, Every Woman's Cannabis Handbook. If you'd rather read it, visit dothepot.com and subscribe to our email newsletter. If you like How to Do the Pot, please share it with someone and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people find our show. What if the phrase we heard growing up was just add weed rather than just say no? Picture this. It's a beautiful day at the beach. Your aunt turns to your mom and asks, add weed? As normal as, do you want a beer from the cooler? What does adding weed bring to moments of our life? It's simple. Cannabis is like a sixth sense that heightens the other 5, bringing more pleasure to most any activity, for sure. Even taxes, and especially quarantine. See what happens when you intentionally add weed to a typical daily, weekly, monthly experience. And let us know what you did and what the outcome was. To guide us through working with weed to invite more pleasure into everyday, I spoke with Sophie St. Thomas, and you can find her on Twitter and Instagram at the Bowie Cat. She's the author of Finding Your Higher Self, Your Guide to Cannabis for Self-Care. She quite literally wrote the book on weed and pleasure. To be clear, pleasure comes in many forms, not just the sexual kind. As a sex writer, Sophie covers this topic with aplomb, and you can check out an earlier episode, a mini episode that she recorded with us, and she counted down 5 practical tips to use cannabis to amplify the pleasure we allow ourselves to enjoy. In her book, Sophie discusses the unknown pleasures list. So we created a list of activities for each of your 5 senses that we think you should try, especially considering the time we are in.
The idea of the unknown's pleasure list is that you write down anything that would give you pleasure and you would like to experience, but is still unknown to you. And then as soon as you accomplish it, you check it off because it's no longer unknown. It's basically a bucket list, but a nicer way of saying it. The thing about cannabis that ties back to the unknown pleasures list is that I find that it just lowers your inhibitions, like basically through calming you down and through your anxiety. And that can be a really, really amazing confidence boost.
So for today's high 5, how do I use the weed to amplify pleasure? Just add weed to any of the 5 senses and the ordinary becomes, at times, otherworldly. Couldn't you just use something to help you get through these days? Number 1, sight. Get lost in a physical copy of Interview Magazine or Art Zooming with Feist. And you can find links to each of these in our show notes, by the way. Number 2, sound. Type 8D music into YouTube, find a song and listen, or download the Binaural app and listen before bed. Extra pleasure if you use 360 sound headphones and consume a heavier cannabis strain to quiet your mind so you can be in the music rather than in your own head. Number 3, smell. Before aromatherapy diffusers, there was potpourri boiled on the stove. That's the way my mom did it. It made the house smell really nice. I'd say add that to your daily routine. Number 4, taste. Create non alcoholic drinks served in the best glassware. Consider sipping kin alongside your vape, a joint, or low dose infused mint. Zot's candies are really fun too. Number 5, touch. Should you find yourself wrapped in a faux fur blanket, it's an ideal time to just add weed. And of course, we offer 3 strain recs to amplify your pleasure. What about Chocolope? It's a motivating, energizing strain that leaves you with a clear, level head, making it well suited for daytime use. It's an ideal wake and bake strain, so Chocolope is a good bet for great morning sex. Strawberry banana. It's happy, peaceful, mellow high with sharper sensory awareness. This indica dominant hybrid is the cherry on top of any sex session. Senses are heightened thanks to the effects of the strain, and its universally appealing flavor certainly contributes to a well-rounded experience. Purple Arrow. Euphoric, calming, relaxing. The only thing standing between you and a good time in bed is the not-so-simple act of dropping your shoulders and that pesky to-do list. Enter Purple Arrow, the cannabis cupid. One of the best strains for tackling pain without feeling medicated, should that other purple arrow strike more than one place below the waist. In warning, this strain can certainly leave you very hungry.